This is Jonathan J.O. Oliver, author of the book To the Little Boy in Me, Learning with Dyslexia and ADHD. When it comes down to it, the most important reason I wrote this book, starting out at the very beginning, was I wanted to write back to this little boy in me and say, hey, you're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. You're not dumb. You're not stupid. You're not slow. You don't lack effort. You don't lack passion. You learn differently. And I needed to know this because I didn't get diagnosed with dyslexia until I was until I was a junior in college and I graduated from high school with honors. I was a pre-med major. And it simply came about, I reached a breaking point. I had been studying and grinding my entire life, barely passing standardized tests the last semester of my senior year to graduate from high school with honors. Always been the last person in the classroom to finish the exam. Always knowing I busted my butt, but I felt like it didn't reflect the hard work I put in on my test scores. I was taking genetics, got so mad, got so frustrated, taking it for the second time, flipped the test over, wrote everything that I've ever studied on God's green earth about genetics on the back of this exam. Professor calls me into her office and just gently says, hey, if you would have put what you wrote on the back of the test, on the front of the test, you would have been the only person to have aced the test. Why didn't you do that? And I said, I didn't understand what you was asking me, but I didn't want you to think I had wasted your time again when I was taking this course for the second time. And she said, I think you may have a learning disability. And I was like, disability? That makes me feel like I'm weak, like I'm soft. I play college football. I'm big, I'm strong, I'm a man. And at the end of the day, I went and got tested. And this lady, she's no longer with us. Her name is Miss Vicky Fair. And she just looked me right in the eye and she said, you may very well be one of the most gifted people I've ever met in my life. She goes, you're just dyslexic. And I go, what does that mean? What does dyslexic mean? She goes, you just learn differently. And I go, well, am I stupid? And she goes, no. Let me tell you how smart you are. She said, J.O., you're so smart that you have innately taught yourself how to learn. You have given yourself systems that if you would have been diagnosed earlier, would have been the same system we would have shared with you at that given time, but you taught yourself these systems. And that's one of the reasons I wrote the book. I wanted to write back to that little boy and just release the shame and embarrassment and the guilt. And then also, I didn't realize I had ADHD until I was 30 when I started working on my dyslexia book. And I wanted to let this guy know that you're not just hyper and have a disorder and something's wrong and you need to go somewhere and take some medicine and sit down. No, you have gifts and talents that are amazing. And I just needed to continue to develop in them and challenge them. I also wanted to write this book to just give back to the coworker, the family member, the parent, the child, the sibling, the neighbor, the friend that you know or you are that has dyslexia and ADHD, and you have often felt like you were by yourself, that you were all alone. I've struggled with suicide, thought of suicide, depression, low self-esteem. I have a negative way of thinking about myself, judging myself, condemning myself, comparing myself, setting myself up for perfection and all these things. And I've learned over the course of writing this book and sharing this story with other people how to release those things from myself. And I want to encourage people that are in the same position. Dyslexia affects everybody differently. It's a core definition, but the variation is different for everyone. Just for the same as ADHD, it's not, everybody doesn't fit in the same box. But I want to encourage everyone to know that we're not alone and that you have gifts and talents. You're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. Also, I want to just eliminate that conversation of disorder. Like I'm out of order, like something's out of place. God didn't put anything in me out of place. I work perfectly well, and it works brilliantly. I just had to figure out how to utilize the gifts and talents that I have in a way to produce the results that are for me to produce. And certain ways of learning, being in the classroom for me, writing notes off an overhead projector while my handwriting is horrible and I can't even understand the words I'm writing while I'm trying to keep up with a professor, that's not me. But there are laws for dyslexia. So having a note taker in class where I could actually read somebody else's handwriting that made sense, and I have a tape recorder in class that's recording a lecture as it's taking place, and now I can just sit back and visually listen to what the professor's sharing and go back to my dorm room and hit play, and now I can visually go back into the place where I was when I was hearing the lecture, as well as reading legible notes and hearing the lecture. Oh, game changer, game changer. Being able to take a test in a room by myself and not get distracted because people are getting up and leaving because they finished before me. These things are all important. These things are methods that I want to share with kids and with family members and coworkers that understand. I know early what it means to go through failure and struggle. I've known that very well. But I also know that the gifts and the talents that have come with being dyslexic and having ADHD. And these gifts far outweigh the struggle. But if I don't go through the struggle and embrace the pain and know that on the other end that there's something better to be offered, I can stop well before my destination. And I've done that almost repeatedly. So I wrote this book to the little boy in me to go back, grab that little boy, get on a knee, hug him, embrace him, champion him, high five him and say, man, we are good. The things that you struggle with have become a part of your testimony. You have gifts and abilities to share with the world, to help inspire, to help challenge, to help encourage, to help motivate. The things that you got in trouble for as a kid, you now get paid for as an adult. You're brilliant and wonderfully made. Nothing needs to be changed. So I want you to go out, click this book, buy it for a coworker, a friend, yourself, a son, a parent, a daughter. Encourage them and let them know that they're not by themselves and that they're brilliantly and wonderfully made. Thank you. This is Jonathan Oliver, J.O., author of To the Little Boy in Me, Learning with Dyslexia and ADHD.